everybody, it's Romania Black. So yeah, we're at episode 5 of My Hero Academia season 6. If you can believe it already, we're already to episode 5. We're a fifth of the way through the season, which is crazy. Like a month into watching this show already, and it's kind of wild. But so far, this season has adapted the manga very, very well. I've been super happy with it. Last episode was wonderful. Episode 3 was amazing. The last 2 episodes have been really, really good, and we're starting to get into some stuff. I realized that at the end of the last episode, there were 2 things in the spoiler corner I did not get to. And so I wanted to address those. And so I think what I'll start doing is just keeping at the very end of the episode before I go into the discussion, make some notes about some things I want to talk about in the spoiler corner. Because there was 2 things I said in the reaction. I was like, oh, I'll talk about that in the spoiler corner. And then I didn't do that. And so I wanted to go ahead and write those down and be like, okay, well, we'll talk about those when we actually get to it and kind of backtrack a little. But yeah, so Shigaraki's out of the tank. What could happen? He's been kick-started back to life next to Exilus. And meanwhile, Hawks is facing up against Dabi, which is a very bad matchup. And Tokiyami is with Fat Gum and has sensed that something might be amiss over in the manor. And things are just kind of crazy and hectic. The heroes are fighting Nomu. They're fighting the Liberation Front. Gigantimachia is waiting on his signal. It's all going crazy. And so I have been very, very excited to get to this part of the manga adaptation, and so far it's not let me down. So that's been really exciting. But this is going to come out on Patreon on Halloween, so happy Halloween for those of you celebrating. It'll be a week later on YouTube, but I just felt like dressing up festive for the occasion. But yeah, I'm pretty excited. So see what all is in store, right? So in any case, I'm not going to waste any more time. I've been waiting. I've been gone all weekend on a trip, and so I have been waiting to come back. It's actually Sunday when I'm recording this, and so I know the episode came out yesterday, and I was like, no, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till I get back home, and that way I can sit down and record it. So now's the time. So I hope y'all are excited. I can't wait to dive in, but let's not waste any more time. We're going to start episode 5 of season 6 of My Hero Academia, and we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. We should talk about this. Yeah, so this episode So this episode's great. Really good. This is a great episode. It's very much a transition episode. Very much. It definitely is an episode that is transitioning from one situation to the next. And it just feels like that way. That's not really a spoiler for anything, but it just feels like, okay, this was all about Shigaraki waking up and putting things into motion. This episode had things going into motion in a lot of ways, right? In a lot of ways. Yeah. So, and I had another thing that I wanted to write down with that. But yeah, this is all setting things into motion to gear up for the next episodes. And we're already on episode 5, so we're a fifth of the way through the season. We'll talk in the spoiler corner about where the season is going to go to. But man, the music, the score, that like droning chant when Shigaraki wakes up, oh my gosh, that's just, gah! I've really, really enjoyed how they've adapted this from the manga. If you get a chance to go read the manga, the artwork is incredible. But I've really been pleased with how they've been adapting. They've wasted no time. This episode has been chop, chop, chop. We are going through it. We are getting stuff, going through the motions, getting it ready to go, which I really like. I like that. And the animation's been very good, very clean. So yeah, them trying to figure out what exactly to do and figuring out how they do. So they have the Mirko facing the high ends at Jaku Hospital, and then they have the evacuation team and the neutralization team. And the evacuation team getting everyone out of the city, and then the neutralization team securing everything at the hospital. And the higher-ups are just trying to figure out what to do with all this. Like, what do we do about the situation? And they like debating what to do with the nomus. It's like, yeah, the nomus are a problem, and they've been hinted at this entire series. It's kind of the cool thing that I like about what My Hero does is in season 1, we got hints with Shigaraki and Deku facing off against one another. Like they have. And then we've also got hints with the high-end Nomu. So it's like, it's all been built up the last 6 seasons, which has been fun. And now we're kind of seeing it all take effect and come into play. So yeah, But yeah, God, the animation. Exless, my dude, Exless. I remember in the manga people being like, why didn't you just shoot him in the face? And here's the problem. Exless is just, under different circumstances. There is the one factor that this is all happening and taking place in the matter of seconds. In the matter of seconds is when this is happening. And it's like, okay. But then there's also the fact on top of it that Exless is not like, I don't think he's in the top 10. I don't think Exless was in the top 10. I'd have to go back to like season 4 and check it out, but I don't think he was in the top 10. I think he was just one of the pro heroes we knew that was recognizable. But yeah, the machine and everything. So the machine that he was looking at was the machine that was holding the bullets. That's what he was looking at, right? That he blew up. That I couldn't remember what that was. I was like, what was that machine? And then at the end of the episode, when Shigaraki opens it up and reveals the bullets that they were trying to copy that were overhauls and Ares, I was like, oh, that's what that machine was. And Exless blew it. So you know what? Exless may have gone out. R.I.P. Exless. You gave up your cape to Shigaraki so that he could look even more fly. But you did manage to do something helpful before you died. You managed to zap the machine that had the bullets in it. So there's that at least. At least Exless went out doing something of value, being like, I'm gonna smash it, I'm gonna break it, and ended up ruining it. So good for him. It's like you had this sacrifice. On the one end, Exless took the time to stop the quirk stealing bullets. And on the other hand, because he took the time to do so, the liquid was able to make it to that short circuit and jumpstart Shigaraki back to life. So a give and take, if you will. But man, I said this in the last week's reaction, but Shigaraki fans, rejoice. If you are a Shigaraki stan, your man is looking very good, even donning Exless's cape, right? Even donning that. And that line delivery from his voice actor, he's like, it's cold. Like, it's just, it's so good. I love his voice actor, and ever since reading these chapters in the manga, I was so excited to see his voice actor perform these lines, and so far they've been really good, and I'm like, yes. It has me very excited to see what's to come in this series and what we're going to get out of it, but yeah. So we do cut back. I like that we have the female Nomu. She's quite frightful and has like the big acid pumping calves. And then Gran Torino just comes in clutch and is like, yeah, have another. Gran Torino ain't afraid to hit a lady Nomu. Not at all. I mean, it's technically a corpse, so does it really count? Probably not. But yeah, the regeneration powers. This one hero backdraft, I don't remember him in the manga at all. He probably was. I just don't remember him. But like with the little fire hose arms. Can you imagine like somebody just born with a quirk where they have fire hose arms? Horikoshi, some of the quirk users that are in this series, I'm like, I try to picture them as a baby, and I'm like, how's that work? And then this is one of them, right? Really cute design, though. And I just rock lock doing the spin on his wrist every time with the deadbolt. Love it. And then locking the Nomu in place while her brain gets smattered, and then it regenerates. He's like, it's regenerating before my eyes. It's like, oh, Gran Torino. And Deborah's like, well, I'll just smash its whole head off and we'll go from there. I do absolutely love when Eraser looks over and President Mike shows up with the doctor and he's like, Eraser, I did it. And Aizawa was like, good, you made it. But man, the silence in this episode when Shigaraki looks over and Exless being like, why? The image when Shigaraki looks over at him. And here's the thing that's so crazy about it is that it's, again, for Shigaraki, in Exless's situation, he immediately takes aim to fire at him because he knows, oh, I mean, on the one hand, yes, Exless knew what to do in this moment. He's like, you're a villain who has the power to destroy everything with your hands. I need to get rid of you as soon as possible. So he goes to fire at Shigaraki. He's just too slow about it. But it's kind of sad because from Shigaraki's perspective, he's always been looked at by others, with the exception of the League of Villains. He's always been looked at by others as being something to like get out of sight, out of mind. And so while yes, it's very valid that Exless is firing at him, it's kind of like this sad irony that Shigaraki, the first thing he sees after getting out of this test tube is someone trying to kill him or someone discarding him. And it's like, yep. And Exless, you tried, my friend, but him firing the laser back and then like making him evaporate. Now, in the manga, I will say this. In the manga, it's very bloody. Like, in the manga, they don't just turn to dust. They, like, just like, crumble. And there's blood everywhere. And Horikoshi is just, like, getting all the blood involved. And it's like, yeah. In this, it's much more censored. It's not nearly as bloody. But also noteworthy that Shigaraki does grab the cape with all 5 of his fingers. He can control his quirk, which says something that he has control over his quirk at this point because he puts the cape on. Villain Tomura Shigaraki, quirk is decay, the thrill of destruction. So, 3 minutes earlier, talking about Tokiyami and them. So, yeah, it is important to note that 3 minutes earlier, meaning this was before Shigaraki decided to start destroying the city. So we don't get to see what it looks like. Like, everything's getting crazy, and we don't get to see exactly what that looks like before Gigantomachia. So 3 minutes earlier, Gigantomachia is about to wake up, and this is all leading up to it. But yeah, so Fat Gun with the Fat Taxi. And I love that Mount Lady, I love the continuity of we have Mount Lady fighting in the mansion, and then when Tokiyami goes to rescue Hawks, you see her in the background. She looks like a Mortal Kombat player in like a fight game or something that you'd see out of Blade Runner. It's like in the background, the big giant version of Mount Lady. It's great. But Tokiyami, I do think it's impressive that Fat Gum notes that Tokiyami is the only one to have escaped his fat absorption or his taxi. And he's like, he must be really, really strong. Yeah, Tokiyami does not realize how strong he is. And that's what I love about him. He's doing it to help save his mentor because he loves him. Because he loves old Hawks. He's his teacher. And I love that he's guarding Dark Shadow, like, under his cape. It's great. Whenever Dinky said, oh, it's dangerous to go alone, all I could think of was Legend of Zelda. Take this. Take Dark Shadow with you. But yeah, oh man, Hawks. I should have made my hot wings for this episode. Honestly, because we have the birds, we have our barbecue birds. Dabi being such a diva, calling them the barbecue birds. I'm like, are you joking? But him like just kicking Dabi aside. I love that the Dark Shadow puts the cape over Hawks. Hawks' wings are completely gone. They're just completely burnt off. The entire wings are just gone. It's like, even if Hawks is able to grow them back, it's going to be a very long time because they don't the feathers need something to retract back to, and there is nothing for them to retract back to, and there's just blood. I mean, I guess the only thing saving Hawks at this point is that even though he's lost a lot of blood, the flames kind of cauterize the wound, so that's the only saving grace in all of this, but I just love that Tokiyami went up against Dabi. Like, I know back in season 3, they saw each other, but for them to come back and face each other like this again, and for Tokiyami to know his weakness, he knows Dark Shadow's weakness is the light from the flames, but he goes after him anyway. It's like, Tokiyami, my dude, all to save his mentor Hawks. Now, Dabi in this case, this is interesting. At this point in the conversation, Dabi makes a comment about how Tokiyami's from UA. And he's like, hey, kid. I love that he says, what a loser. I was just like, Dabi. It's so funny because in the fandom, a lot of people like Dabi, but there is kind of a running joke that Dabi is kind of a trash king. He is. He's kind of a trash king. Dabi is. And so for him to call Tokiyami a loser, it's like, this is just a kid after his mentor. And he's calling Hawks a loser because he's like, oh, you have to have one of your students save you? That's sad, But here's the thing. He tells Tokiyami to look at Twice's perfect butt, but also to look at Twice being stabbed there. He said that guy killed him, saying that Hawks killed Twice. And we have to be subjected to seeing Twice's corpse again, which is never fun. He stabbed him in the back as he ran to save his friends. Now, there is definite truth to that because Twice was running to help his friends. Yes, he was running to save his friends and help him. His friends were murdering people. Yes. But that is true. Dabi did tell the truth there. But there is a spin on it, right? Because there is that spin that, yeah, Twice was going to help his friends and save them. And that's admirable. But his friends were also killing people and threatening all of the heroes. So Dabi finds a way to spin it in his own way. And it's very fun how he tries to try to brainwash Tokiyami into thinking Hawks is a bad guy. But Tokiyami, he ain't falling for it. he believes in Hawks, hook, line, and sinker. And yeah, Mount Lady just bursts in, and they have this shot of them on the bridge together. I can't remember in the manga if she appears or not, but she's like a Mortal Kombat character in the background fighting whoever's there. And Dabi saying, the pros you admire so much play dirtier than guys like me. That's the spin, right? So the part about Twice going and saving his friends, very true. The part about Hawks stabbing Twice in the back, very true. But when he says the Hawks and the others play dirtier than him, that's the spin. It's like, do they, Dabi, or is that just you projecting there? And then Hawks tries to like get a hold of Tokiyami. Now, whether Hawks is trying to tell Tokiyami that that's not true or telling him to get out of there, but Tokiyami, he's like, nah, I'm only concerned for my teacher. He's like, I don't know what this weird stuff about you and Twice and heroes and villains and all this dramatic stuff is. I just know I need to save Hawks and get him out of there. That's all that matters to me. I'm only concerned for my teacher. And Dabi's like, well, only concerned for Hawks, you should think for yourself. Which Tokiyami is doing that. So it's kind of funny he says that. But yeah, Tokiyami's like, I am not a good match up for this guy, so we gotta get out of here. And I love that Dark Shadow's like, I can't use my power here, it's too much. And they manage to get away and then drop down, right? And then, here's the thing though, Hawks is like, he's still talking. He's just buying for time. And he calls them barbecued birds. It's great, it's wonderful. So yeah, he's like, he can't, Dabi, the thing about Dabi is Hawks kind of figures out, he's like, okay, we can escape now because Dabi's like conserving his energy. And then Dabi later is like, oh, well, you thought I was conserving my energy. Well, I knew that you knew. It's like, Dabi is such a trash king. Such a trash king, but I freaking love it. I freaking love it. It's just, I love that Tokiyami, of all characters, was able to like withstand and stand up to Dabi. Like how much he's grown from season 3 to now. My heart. Also, I said this in reaction. Tokiyami is like a built guy. Like he's got some forearm and bicep on him. Like Tokiyami's kind of ripped. It's just, he's got a bird head. So you just kind of forget about it. But yeah, he's actually like built. Tokiyami, he didn't skip arm or leg day. And then Dabi being like, I saved up my last 2 for this shot. And the funny thing is, Dabi can't catch a break. Dabi is like a trash king extraordinary. He can't catch a break. He saves up all this energy, dramatically villain monologues, and saves up for this one moment to fire against Tokiyami and Hawks. And what happens? Geten comes in with the ice and completely cock blocks him and just makes it to where his attack does nothing. And in the manga from here, things were just getting crazy. Now, granted, the thing that's kind of cool about this is I remember reading week to week when the manga was coming out, and I thought that this part here was kind of like, not a cop-out, or I was like, oh, well, they had to write Tokiyami getting away somehow, and here's that somehow that they did it. This is how they managed to make it work, right? So that was kind of my thoughts at the time. I was like, oh, well, they've managed to write him out like this because they used Geten's attack to like give Tokiyami an easy way out. But actually watching this episode, it makes more sense. And it's like, no, it's like Tokiyami was able to escape because Geten wasn't taking Dabi into account. Geten's like, Dabi, you ran away. You ran away from the situation. We don't care about you. The Liberation Front, I'm creating an opening from them. So you have Geten and the Liberation Front fighting the other heroes, and they're all focused on that. And then Dabi's off here doing his little side quest with Tokiyami, and Geten's like, I just don't have time for you, Dabi. I'm doing things to help the Liberation Front, not you. So it does actually, the writing does, when you go back and watch it like this, it really adds up and makes a lot more sense. I remember when the manga chapter came out, everybody was like, oh, Horikoshi just wrote that out so Tokiyami could get away. And yeah, it's convenient, but it makes sense within the context of what's happening. And then Mount Lady, I forgot about this part. I forgot about the butt shot that everybody in the manga fandom went crazy over. Everybody in the manga fandom was like, Fat Gum, my dude, R.I.P. Mount Lady just coming in and just smushing him. And he's like, oh, a bottom! And he's like, oh God! Just her falling down and just getting crushed. And then Geten's such a pretty boy. I like seeing Geten with his hood down. He doesn't look like an ice climber anymore. He looks like he has his beautiful white hair. It's like, oh, I remember when everybody was like, oh, the ice climber, he's a Todoroki. It's like, no. He just has ice powers. It's funny. I mean, maybe they are related. Who knows? But yeah, gathering everybody in one place and opening a hole. And this part here where Dabi's like, the ice bastard's letting loose. So, oh well. I guess I'll just start early. Fun times. We'll talk in the spoiler corner. But yeah, we have Tokiyami thinking back to what Dabi was telling him about Twice and Hawks. And I just love Tokiyami with the tears coming out of his eyes and big globs where he's like, I believe in you, Hawks. You had to have a reason. There was a reason you did this. I have faith in you. I feel like up until this moment in the manga, there had been a lot of people there were a lot of people trash talking Hawks because of killing Twice, like a lot. And there were a lot of people that thought that Hawks was kind of an anti-hero or wasn't a hero because he actually killed Hawks, or he actually killed Twice. But when this chapter came out, there were a lot of people that were like, okay, Tokiyami's coming to Hawks' aid in his defense, being like, no, he probably had a reason. You don't play dirty, Hawks. Like, that's just not how you work. I love Tokiyami saying, like, you don't play dirty. We believe in you. We all believe. It's like Tokiyami just wants to believe his mentor is a good person. It's like, oh. He's like, you did what you thought was right, so don't die. And then meanwhile, we get lots of fan service in this episode. We get fan service from Shigaraki. We get Tokiyami fan service. We get also Redestro sitting there waiting on his legs. And then everyone turns to see Gigantomachia has stood. I always love this part in the manga where he's like, I smell the master. Now the question is, does he smell Shigaraki? Does he smell All for One? Are they the same? Are they one and the same now? But Shigaraki, him just standing up, being like, he's awake. And then so we have Burnin leading the evacuation, which I like Burnin's character a lot. And then Bakugo, our resident tsundere, refusing this old lady's chocolate bun. And if you ship Bakugo and Ochaku, like I kind of do, then I love this moment where Ochaku's like, oh, just take the bun, Bakugo. And he's like, you just want it for yourself. I'm like, ah. The Bako Chaco ship is just alive and well, isn't it? It's great. But yeah, I love that Ida's like so reformed. He's just like I love this guy is literally trying to negotiate his way back to the building and out there, and Ida's having none of it. He's like, stay in line, like keep doing as you're told. He's like, what about don't destroy my building? And Ida's like, we're gonna make you an important manuscript. And then Koda, I forgot about Koda. I forgot he was leading all of the pets out of the city. Like, what a trooper. Like, him leading all the pets through the evacuation. Oh my god, I love Koda in this. Like, I was like, as an animal lover, I was like, oh my gosh. And there's the one guy from Class B that has the comic strip head. Why wouldn't he be helping out with this? And then there's another pro hero there. Koda with his Annie voice. So sweet. And so then we have the one guy, we have Nejire, and we have this guy with like a jet head. And then Ida's with that one hero that looks like a scarecrow. I always thought he kind of looked villainous. He's with him. But then Deku hearing the voice from the first user. And I love that he kind of holds his stomach like it's a stomach ache. And Shoto's like, what's wrong? And Bakugo's like, quit slacking off! It's like two ships. You have the Todo Deku crew that are just like wholesome and heartwarming. And then you have Baku Deku that's like tsundere and hilarious. So I know Chaco wondering what's happening with him. And Deku realizes it's the voice of the first wielder telling him that the aftershock is coming. And man, the music, the animation, the darkness. Oh, it was so good. I was like, hell yeah. It looked great. And then, yeah, Shigaraki. And then there's like, what I love about this scene is that in the manga, everything was like all those little moments of the panels we see animated on the screen here, but it's all in silence. Oh, it's so good. All in silence. It's wonderful. I'm like, oh my God. And yeah, the doctor's just like, yes, like everything's good. And Present Mike's face of like, oh shoot, no! Present Mike's face is actually amazing where he's like, oh shit, this is about to go down. We need to get out of here. And the doctor just like laughing and Gran Torino getting them all out of there. And then yeah, it destroys everything. The Nomu, everyone. Shigaraki's decay. And then we get Shigaraki fan service. This quirk is improved. Yeah, it's not only destroying things, it's destroying everything that it touches. Oh, and the birds and everything leaving. Oh my god. And Deku just realizing that it's a disaster. I'm amazed that Dragon Girl is able to get through all this stuff without her wings touching anything. She is MVP class, gathering up all the heroes and getting them out of there. And then Aizawa grabbing on. But damn, the Nomu grabbing Aizawa's leg, and then it's starting to decay. Ah! And it's Crust coming in. Now, I will say this, and this isn't a spoiler now because it's not a spoiler now because RIP, but in the manga, y'all should go back and find the chapter where Crust dies in the manga because it's like this, but there's more panels that show Aizawa looking back, seeing Crust, being like, Crust, no, and Crust is like gives him the thumbs up. Oh, God, Crust. I said in the last reaction in the spoiler corner, I'm like, they build up Crust just enough as a pro hero that you're like, man, he's so wholesome, and then they're like, axed him. God, it's crazy. And I do love that shot where Aizawa is just screaming, and Aizawa just screaming and his eyes all bloodshot. Oh my god. Mm-hmm. He's just doing the thumbs up. Oh. But they managed to get out of there. I forgot how many heroes died in this moment. A lot die. But I forgot how many. I really thought that one of the kitty cats was going to die in this moment. I was like, did she die? I was like, did she die? I can't remember. And I don't remember if she dies or not. I can't remember because I haven't read the manga in so long. But he comes back and grabs her. But all of their elemental attacks just aren't working. And the doctor saying that a miracle, if you will, a plus ultra to Shigaraki has awakened. And it's just him hitting the ground where Exless was and making it to where everything around him is just like ground zero. Mm-hmm. He's like, you guys built up so much for this moment and we're going to take it all away from you. And so yeah, Deku and the others trying to help them, and Deku realizing that Shigaraki, it's his decay power that's happening, right? I do love that Bakugo goes right back and grabs the old woman that gave him the bun and evacuates with them. And then poor Burnin, she's just trying to get a hold of anybody and everywhere, anybody being like, is there somebody there to help, to answer this? Hello. And there's nobody. And I like that Ochako, I like that we get Ochako and Deku using Black Whip and her quirk to make the buses and the transportation float and get away from the decay. That's really smart. I like that. Ryuku, that's the dragon's name. And the people in the government are like, what is happening? And then we see Shigaraki with that damn cape. The crazy thing is that Shigaraki is not dumb and has come a long way in his character from the start of the series, because at the start of the series, Shigaraki was kind of a brat. He was kind of a spoiled brat that had a really good quirk, but he was kind of spoiled. And then by the time we get to the overhaul arc in season 4, Shigaraki has developed quite a bit. And he's kind of grown and matured a lot as a character. And he starts to question about the quirk stealing bullets, being like, what is this? You hit compress with this. And at the time, it was not a developed version, right? It wasn't fully developed. And yeah, you see from the image that what Exless destroyed, there's 4 or 5 broken containers. So we don't know if any of these are still good or not. But then him talking about learning that they wanted to copy the quirk stealing device. Mm-hmm. They wanted to copy it so they could use it against the heroes. And then Shigaraki gets the headache. The voice in his head. Uh-huh. And that's when he knows to signal Gigantomachia. And then Shigaraki's like, oh yeah, that's right. We planned that when I woke up, we would be doing this. And he just he's like, oh, it's nice to be able to use decay however I want. That's the thing. Shigaraki's entire existence, he's been told when and when not to use his quirk, and his father tried to push him to never use his father tried to push him to give up on the idea of having a quirk or using it at all. And Shigaraki, once he had his powers, Kurogiri and others kind of limited him on when and where he could use it. And now he's free to use it wherever he wants. So it's kind of terrifying. And so he's like, wow, this situation doesn't look good. So I guess we start where I was supposed to start when we woke up, right? He's like, let me just pick up where we were supposed to leave off at. And says, come, Machia. And Gigantomachia is standing up. He's like, come, Machia. He's like, let's start with everyone. Let's just start with everyone. And from right now, from here, I'll destroy everything. And Gigantomachia wakes up. Oh, I love that. I love that transition from Gigantomachia's like primal scream to Shigaraki's eye. Oh, it's so good. It's so wonderful. But yeah, him just overlooking everything. God. Just overlooking the destruction. And then we have the credits. So yeah, this was a very good transition episode. A very good transition episode to set up things to come. And to get us used to the idea that Shigaraki's awakened. His quirk is enhanced. It's powerful. And we know he has more up his sleeve. So... and we're only on episode 5. Season 6 has been so much fun so far. I do have a lot of spoilers that I want to talk about, so there will be a spoiler corner section very soon. So I do want to talk about that. So if you're not sticking around for spoiler corner, I have some notes. But if you're not sticking around, then I hope you all enjoyed this reaction discussion. Really excited for next week. Really excited for what's to come. But I'm going to talk about spoilers. And then if you're not sticking around for that, then I will see you all next week for another episode of My Hero Academia. I do want to say, if you get a chance, those of you, the manga, I feel like the manga just made that moment of the shockwave just absolutely terrifying. The shockwave in the manga is so good. And they did a good job, but the music score was wonderful. I love the musical score for the shockwave. That all was really good. I feel like with the censorship that they do, they can't quite go full on with it like they want, which is sad. So the manga definitely has the upper hand. But Shigaraki's voice acting and everything else is pretty good so far. I'm really looking forward to it. The 2 things I didn't get to talk about with episode 4 that I was going to bring up for Spoiler Corner and I forgot. One was the title of the episode, which was Inheritance. And I wanted to bring that up because I thought Inheritance was kind of like, it referenced a lot of different things. It referenced Shigaraki inheriting from All for One. It referenced Dabi being, Toya Todoroki and inheriting all of that. It referenced Deku and the inheritance of One for All. It kind of just talked about the heroes and the students inheriting from the heroes, from their mentors. That kind of inheritance, like Tokiyami inheriting from Hawks. So I thought that it could be in a lot of different layers for that. So I wanted to bring that up and I forgot. But then the other thing was, where do I think the season is going to end? I was going to talk about that at the end of the last episode. My brother and I have very different views, and someone in the comments was suggesting that they thought the season was going to end with All Might talking to Stain. I don't know if we're going to get that far. Maybe. I think we're only on episode 5, right? My brother and I have a little different opinions. I think we're going to cover enough ground to end where Ochako makes the speech on top of the UAE building when Deku comes back. I think we're going to go through Deku's emo arc. His Dark Knight arc. I think we're going to go through it. I think we're going to go through... we're definitely... By episode 12, we're going to get Bakugo taking a lung for Deku. All the Deku anime onlys, pray for y'all when we get to that point, because that's going to be amazing. But I feel like Dabi's dance, I'm like pulling, like I am crossing fingers that the rule of 8, that when we get to, that's only 3 episodes from now though. That's only 3 episodes. One of the commenters was like, I think it's going to happen between episodes 10 and 12. Could very well happen then, by the end of the cour. By the end of the cour, Dabi's dance is one of the last things that happens in that arc. So it could very well be episode 12. If it was during the rule of 8, I'd be like, yes, please. Maybe Gran Torino will be the rule of 8. Gran Torino could be the rule of 8. That's very true. Yikes. But Dabi's dance, I think, will at the very latest be by episode 12, which y'all have no idea. The fangirl in me will erupt. But I think we're going to get Bakugo taking a hit for Deku by the end, and Deku going through like full Dark Knight mode. I think that's going to happen this season. My brother thinks that the season is going to end with Lady Nagant and her versus Deku, and then getting Overhaul involved. He thinks it's going to end around there. I think we're going to get as far as Ochako giving the speech on the roof and them all carrying emo Dark Knight Deku back into UA. I think that's what we're going to get to. I think by episode 25, we're going to end with Deku going into the UA school. We're going to save Stars and Stripes for season 7. We ain't getting to Stars and Stripes this season. As much as I love our girl, Stars and Stripes, we're not getting her this season. I think she's going to be season 7. I think she's going to be season 7. I think All Might and Stain might be season 7. I think all that business is going to be that. But I think we're going to get... End of episode 12 might be when Dabi's dance happens and Best Jeanist comes in. That would be a lot of fun to end that core, right? Because that's about the end of that first core is when Best Jeanist comes in. I think that might be it. But yeah, I think that we're going to get to Ochako leading Deku back into UA. And that's going to be the end of this season. And then we'll save Stars and Stripes and all the other business for next season. I think that's where we're going to get to. And that'll give Horikoshi a lot of time to write the manga and get enough content for season 7 completed. That's my thoughts, though. That's where I think it's going to go. We'll see. We'll see how far we get as far as this season goes. But I'm really excited to see Lady Nagant animated. I'm excited to see her. But yeah, so the bullets. I forgot that we're already on the bullets. I forgot about the quirk stealing bullets. Totally forgot about it. Yep. And I forgot that was a thing. And that, when we get to it, it's a nice little... They did a nice job of foreshadowing it in this episode. We don't see Shigaraki take the bullets. We just see him find the device. But we don't get the shot of him taking the ones that are still good. So there's that. That was nicely foreshadowed. Man, I forgot that Geten was the one that blocked Dabi from fighting Tokiyami. I was trying to think before this episode started. I was like, how did Tokiyami get away? And I couldn't remember how he got away. I was like, I know Tokiyami faced Dabi and he protected Hawks and he believes in Hawks. But I was like, how did he get away from the scenario? And then Geten popped in with the ice and I was like, oh, that's right. That's how that goes. And at the time, when you think of Dabi, you're like, what does he mean by, I guess I'll go start early? But now we know he's practicing his dance moves, y'all. Dabi's getting the hair color remover ready. He's getting his dance moves all geared up. Oh, I'm so ready. I'm so ready. I can't wait. I literally can't wait. But yeah, Gran Torino coming in clutch. I forgot that Gran Torino was the one to get Present Mike and them out of there because he's so fast. And then Crust, man. Crust, my dude. That was sad. I was like, man. Crust's death in the manga was heartbreaking because you're like, damn, we lost him. But it was handled well in the anime here. The use of silence was really well done. But yeah, so the last thing I want to talk about as far as spoilers go is Shigaraki and Deku and the voices in their heads, right? Because at the time in the manga, I was like, okay, well, you have Deku and the first wheelers like warning him, like, Shigaraki's coming with this shockwave, you're gonna have to face him, right? But in the anime, they really pushed it like, no, Deku, you have to fight Shigaraki. And Shigaraki is getting the voice. So you have two brothers using Deku and Shigaraki to go at each other. But the fun thing is that even though you have two brothers who are against each other, Deku and Shigaraki, Deku wants to save Shigaraki, despite what the first wielder says, despite him being like, you're gonna have to fight him. Deku's like, no, I want to save him. And that creates such an interesting complex for Deku, especially with what happens in this arc. Like, do you still really want to save Shigaraki after all he's done? What does that look like? So, it's so good! But yeah, But yeah, them both hearing the voice in their heads, I'm like, those two brothers wanting to duke it out, and Deku being like, no, I don't want to fight him, I want to save him. And it's like, it's so freaking good. But yeah, these episodes were great. Very, very wonderful. I really, really liked how they animated. They animated like the female Nomu running and Shigaraki and the animation of the destruction. It was good. It was censored, but it was good. And I'm really excited for the matchup between Gran Torino and Shigaraki, between Aizawa and them. I'm ready to go. Now that Gigantomachia is thrown in the mix, like, next episode is just going to be ridiculous. So, That's what I got for the spoiler corner. So I am very curious to hear your guys' thoughts down below about the reaction and discussion. There wasn't as much discussion with this episode because even though we have Shigaraki in the thrill of destruction, him getting to like destroy whatever he wants without repercussion, it's like a kid, right? A kid that's got an unlimited power. That's Shigaraki at the moment. But this was very much a set up episode. We have set up Shigaraki at the center of the city. We have set up that Deku is supposed to go fight him, not only because he's a hero, but because the first wielder is telling him to. We are setting up the evacuation teams. We are setting up the fact that the heroes are being killed and that there's going to be a limited number of heroes left. We're setting up Aizawa and Present Mike and Gran Torino with the Doctor. We're setting up lots of different things to happen in future episodes, and now we just need it all to pan out. And I'm very, very excited for that to happen. So, with that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back next week with episode 6 of My Hero Academia.